Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. With me, Deepika, coming up in the next half an hour. Bangladesh holds funeral prayer for former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia. Dr. S. Jaishankar conveys deepest condolences on behalf of the government and the people of India. Cabinet approves construction of 6-lane greenfield access-controlled Nashik-Solapur-Akkalkot corridor in Maharashtra. And with pomp and gaiety, Auckland welcomes the year 2026. Good evening to all the viewers and a very happy new year to Auckland and the rest of the world. To begin with the latest now. Hundreds of thousands of mourners gathered at Manik Mia Avenue in Dhaka on Wednesday as former Prime Minister and Bangladesh Nationalist Party chairperson Begum Khaleda Zia was laid to rest following a state funeral. Khaleda Zia's namaz-e-janaza was attended by Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus, members of the interim government, BNP leaders and leaders of other political parties. Foreign dignitaries, including India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and representatives from Nepal, Sri Lanka, Pakistan and other South and Southeast Asian countries were also present to pay their final respects. Her body was brought to the Parliament complex with full state protocol. Major roads around Manik Mia Avenue remain packed as Dhaka witnessed scenes of nationwide mourning. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Tariq Rahman, who is the acting chairman of BNP and the son of former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Begum Khaleda Zia, upon his arrival in Dhaka. The minister attended the funeral of former Bangladesh Prime Minister and Bangladesh Nationalist Party chairperson Khaleda Zia. The minister handed over to him a personal letter from Prime Minister Narendra Modi and also conveyed deepest condolences on behalf of the government and the people of India. Union Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has approved the construction of the 374-kilometre 6-lane greenfield access-controlled Nashik-Solapur-Akkalkot corridor in Maharashtra at a capital cost of 19,142 crore rupees. Briefing the media about the cabinet decisions, Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw said that the project will improve connectivity between key regional cities including Nashik, Ahilya and Solapur, while linking major expressways under the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. The corridor is expected to reduce travel time by up to 17 hours and shorten the distance by 201 kilometers, enhancing logistics, efficiency and economic growth in the region.
कॉरिडोर बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है। कई बड़े शहरों को और कई बड़े इंडस्ट्रियल सेंटर्स को जोड़ेगा। नासिक, अहिल्यानगर, धाराशिव, शोलापुर इन सब जिलों को जोड़ेगा। 2 साल में इसका कंस्ट्रक्शन पूरा होगा। 374 किलोमीटर का प्रोजेक्ट है और 19,142 करोड़ रुपीस का इसमें इन्वेस्टमेंट होगा।
In a separate decision, the cabinet also approved the widening and strengthening of a 243-kilometre stretch of NH 326 in Odisha from Mohana to Koraput at a cost of over 1,526 crore rupees under the EPC mode.
सेकेंड प्रोजेक्ट उड़ीसा का है। नेशनल हाईवे 326 उड़ीसा के इंटीरियर एरियाज को कनेक्ट करने वाला है। ये कोरापुट एरिया है। ये वाला एरिया कोरापुट एरिया है। यहाँ से अंदर ही अंदर रायगढ़ होते हुए मोहना यानी आपके कोस्ट से काफ़ी दूर है, काफ़ी इंटीरियर एरिया है। इस हाईवे का वाइडनिंग और स्ट्रेंथनिंग आज अप्रूव हुआ है कैबिनेट में। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने आज कैबिनेट में इस प्रोजेक्ट को अप्रूव किया। 206 किलोमीटर्स का ये प्रोजेक्ट है जिसमें इन्वेस्टमेंट 1,526 करोड़ रुपीस का होगा और ये गवर्नमेंट के पूरे इन्वेस्टमेंट ईपीसी मॉडल पे ये किया जाएगा।
Auckland welcomed New Year 2026 with a downtown firework display launched from New Zealand's tallest structure, the Sky Tower. The 5-minute display involved 3,500 fireworks launched from various floors of the 240-meter Sky Tower. Smaller community events were cancelled across New Zealand's North Island on Wednesday due to forecasts of rain and possible thunderstorms. And with this, we also wish all our viewers in Auckland a very happy New Year. Moving on, 18 Cambodian soldiers were held by Thailand. They've been released and returned home following a renewed ceasefire between the two countries. Now, under a ceasefire that came into effect at noon on Saturday, Thailand released 18 Cambodian soldiers who had been detained during border fighting. The agreement followed nearly 20 days of clashes between the Southeast Asian neighbors that left at least 101 people dead and forced more than 500,000 civilians to flee on both the sides. Thailand's foreign ministry said the soldiers were treated in line with international humanitarian law during their detention as both the countries work to stabilize the situation alongside the border. China fired rockets into waters off Taiwan on Tuesday, showcased new assault ships and dismissed prospects of US and allied intervention to block any future attack by Beijing to take control of the island in its most extensive war games to date. Now, as part of drills rehearsing a blockade, China's Season Theatre Command conducted 10 hours of live-fire exercises, launching rockets into waters to the north and the south of democratically governed island. Chinese naval and air force units also simulated strikes on maritime and aerial targets and carried out anti-submarine drills around the island. Now named as Justice Mission 2025, the drills began 11 days after the United States announced a record $11.1 billion arms package to Taiwan, drawing the Chinese Defense Ministry's ire and warnings that the military would take forceful measures in response. Now, Russia launched an overnight drone attack on Ukraine's Odessa region on Wednesday, damaging residential buildings and infrastructure, injuring 4 people, including 3 children. Odessa, a major Black Sea port, has been repeatedly targeted by Russian missiles and drones during nearly 4 years of war, with strikes frequently hitting energy, transport and port infrastructure as well as residential areas. There were no immediate comment from Russia about the attacks on Odessa. Well, this was after Russia accused Ukraine of having fired dozens of drones at one of President Putin's residences. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Ukraine had fired 91 long-range unmanned aerial vehicles at Putin's home in Novgorod region between late Sunday and early Monday, all of which were shot down. Reacting to this situation, European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said on Wednesday that Russia's claim that Ukraine recently attacked key governmental sites in Russia is a deliberate distraction, and Moscow aims to derail real progress towards peace by Ukraine and its Western partners. The Trump administration on Tuesday announced sanctions against Iran and Venezuela, targeting companies that have been involved in the production and sales of drones. The U.S. Treasury Department took aim at 10 individuals and entities based in Venezuela and Iran over issues including purchases of Iranian-designed drones. The administration is also sanctioning 3 Iran-based individuals in connection with the efforts to acquire chemicals for ballistic missiles, as well as 2 companies and 3 people in Iran with connections to Iran's UAV and aerospace program. Among those impacted are Venezuelan company Empresa Aeronautica Nacional S.A. and its chair Jose Jesus Urdaneta Gonzalez, which it said have acquired Iranian-designed UAVs. The new sanctions come as President Trump has ramped up pressure on Venezuela by imposing sanctions on President Nicolas Maduro and ordering military strikes on a facility he said was used as a dock for alleged drug boats. U.S. officials said the sanctions are intended to disrupt Iran-Venezuela cooperation that supports Tehran's military-industrial complex. Trump on Monday also warned to strike Iran if leaders pursue a nuclear weapon. Well, 2025 is almost over and the next year is round the corner. In countries around the world, the new year is traditionally welcomed with fireworks, as we saw in Auckland, now including in Germany as well, but not everyone is happy about that in Germany particularly. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin. Good evening, Lars. What can you tell us about the celebrations and why people are not happy?
Thanks for having me. It's true, we've been having discussions over fireworks for a few years now, and the tone is getting rougher. Here's the thing. In Germany, the last night of the year is traditionally the only night where people can have fireworks. Throughout the year, you might see great public firework displays, sometimes at special events, but New Year's Eve is the one time where regular people can fire them off in the streets, in their gardens and parks. And for millions, this is a cherished tradition. Not for me, to be quite honest, I don't care much about it, but millions do. And it's good business as well. Last year, people spent almost 200 million euros on fireworks. And as you might have guessed, fireworks companies make some 90% of their entire business around that one night a year.
But why are there discussions over whether or not to keep this tradition alive?
Because we got a lot more aware of the downside of fireworks. There is obviously the environmental impact. There is trash. Some of it gets picked up in the days after the holiday, but parts of fireworks are just getting washed into the sewage system or they're rotting away, hidden in the grass. There's also the pollution with fine dust. There's whatever gets into the drinking water. And then dog owners, for example, know how their animals are getting into a panic every year over the noise. Seniors are having problems with it as well, but even worse, especially in some of the bigger cities, fireworks have just been getting out of hand. People making their own, which is of course illegal, and many are overdoing it, packing fireworks almost like bombs and setting them up, damaging buildings sometimes. Every year, a handful of people get killed by fireworks, hundreds get injured across the country. And more police is always needed to keep everything in check. That too, of course, costs a lot of money, and people are just getting more aware of it, wondering if the tradition is worth keeping up.
So what will the future bring in that case?
Well, this year we're still seeing fireworks more or less the way we've always had them, but the Secretary of the Interior has now brought up a fireworks ban, and that is after police had launched such an initiative and collected signatures nationwide. Many cities have also been experimenting with alternatives, sending up drones in elaborate formations and displays. And we might be seeing some of this kind of high-tech entertainment incorporated in the New Year's celebrations in Berlin and in Hamburg and some other larger cities. Now, the plus side here would be that we're not killing off an industry. In an ideal world, companies would just adapt their services, do less traditional fireworks, maybe send up drones or come up with other ideas, and we'd still have celebrations up and running, but with less of a downside.
All right. Thank you so much, Lars, for joining us and getting us the latest from Germany. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world in brief. Falconry, once a vital survival skill for Arab nomads, continues to hold deep cultural values across the Gulf. At Saudi Arabia's King Abdul Aziz Falconry Festival, organized by the Saudi Falcon Club, falconers and enthusiasts have gathered to celebrate the ancient sport and revive this heritage. The 17-day festival features 139 competitive rounds across 6 categories, including classes for young and mature birds, and runs until the 11th of January. In a historic building in central Tripoli, visitors are once again walking past ancient statues and artifacts as Libya's National Museum reopens after being closed since the 2011 uprising. This reopening is allowing Libyans to reconnect with a shared cultural heritage that goes beyond political divisions, offering a rare space for reflection on the country's long and diverse history. Time for a short break, but still to come on the other side. DRDO successfully conducted a twin launch of Pralay missiles off Odisha.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you.
Exactly what to save your.
You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live. On the eve of New Year 2026, President Draupadi Murmu conveyed her heartfelt greetings and best wishes to the citizens across the country and abroad. In her message, President wrote, and I quote her, "On the joyous occasion of New Year, I extend my heartiest greetings and best wishes to all Indians in the country and abroad. The New Year symbolizes renewed energy and positive change. It is also an opportunity for self-reflection and fresh resolutions. On this occasion, let us further strengthen our commitment to the nation's development, social harmony and environmental protection. May the year 2026 bring peace, happiness and prosperity into our lives and infuse new energy to build a stronger and more prosperous India." Unquote. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh attended Pratishtha Dwadashi ceremony in Ayodhya, marking the second anniversary of Ram temple consecration. He called the event a historic moment of pride and spiritual fulfillment for the nation. Minister Rajnath Singh highlighted the significance of Lord Ram's consecration, saying it brings glory not just to Ayodhya but to the entire Awadh region and the entire country. He noted that every street, square and doorway in Ayodhya reflects devotion and joy. Calling the occasion a moment of collective pride, he also described the Ram Mandir movement as one of the world's most powerful mass movements, emphasizing its enduring emotional and cultural impact. India's Defence Research and Development Organization successfully conducted a twin launch of Pralay missiles off Odisha. Fired in quick succession from the same launcher during evaluation trials, both the missiles met all flight objectives, confirmed by tracking and telemetry systems. Developed solid propellant, quasi-ballistic missile for high-precision strikes and multiple warheads. The tests were witnessed by senior DRDO officials and armed forces representatives. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh praised the launch for proving the missile's reliability, and DRDO Chairman Dr. Sameer V. Kamath said it is now close to induction. Star India all-rounder Deepti Sharma scripted history by becoming the highest wicket taker in women's T20I, overtaking Australia's Megan Schutt when she clinched her 152nd scalp during the fifth and last game against Sri Lanka in Thiruvananthapuram on Tuesday. The player of the tournament in India's recent historic ODI World Cup triumph completed the feat by dismissing Nilakshika Silva in the 14th over of Sri Lanka's chase of 176. The 28 years old now has 152 wickets in 133 matches at an average of 19 and an economy rate of 6.12. Earlier in this series that India won by 5-0, Deepti became the first cricketer across men and women formats to score 1,000 runs and take 150 wickets in T20 International. Rashid Khan will lead Afghanistan at the T20 Cricket World Cup next year as they name their 15-member squad for the tournament in India and Sri Lanka. The same side will also play West Indies in a 3-match T20I series in the UAE in the lead-up. Afghanistan's squad includes left-arm quick Faisal Haq Farooqi, off-spinner Mujibur Rahman, all-rounder Gulbadin Naib and right-arm seamer Naveenul Haq. Both Farooqi and Naib were left out of the white ball tour of Bangladesh in October, but are back ahead of the T20 Cricket World Cup. The year 2025 tested nations with disasters internationally and nationally. From earthquakes in India's neighborhood to floods at home, emergencies struck without any warning. Yet, amid the devastation, India's relief and rescue operations stood out for their swiftness, coordination and compassion, reflecting a nation ready to respond when humanity calls. Deepika Yadav has more. Take a look.
In 2025, India stepped up its international humanitarian response with speed, scale and strategic reach. On March 28, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck Myanmar, killing over 1,600 people. India launched Operation Brahma, deploying relief teams and medical support. The mission continued till April 9, with thousands treated and lives saved, reflecting India's commitment to regional humanitarian leadership. In June, escalating tensions in West Asia left thousands of Indian nationals stranded in conflict zones. India launched Operation Sindhu, using special flights and land routes to evacuate over 4,400 Indians safely. Once again, citizen safety remained at the core of India's overseas crisis response. In September, a major earthquake struck Afghanistan's Kunar province. Between September 1st and 25th, the disaster claimed over 2,200 lives. India responded with truckloads of food, water purifiers and medical supplies routed through Chabahar to Kabul. The aid reaffirmed India's development-focused and people-centric engagement even amid complex geopolitics. Towards the end of the year, Cyclone Ditwa struck Sri Lanka. India launched Operation Sagar Bandhu, sending over 1,050 metric tons of relief material, evacuating more than 450 people and treating over 3,300 patients. Alongside overseas missions, emergencies with India called for rapid, large-scale domestic rescue operations. India's domestic response was put to the test early in the year. On January 7, a coal mine collapse in Dima Hasao district on the Assam-Meghalaya border trapped workers underground. The Indian Army's Eastern Command launched an intensive rescue operation under challenging conditions. In June, an Air India aircraft crash in Ahmedabad demanded immediate support. Of the 242 people on board, all but one lost their lives. The Indian Army deployed engineers, medical teams, firefighting assets and quick action teams. With the onset of monsoon, floods and landslides affected Himachal Pradesh and the northeast. Operation Jal Rahat saw army columns move day and night from submerged villages in Assam and Manipur to landslide-hit districts of Himachal. Relief supplies, evacuations and medical aid ensured that no village was left behind in rising waters. By mid-August, floods and landslides battered northern India, displacing over 1 million people. The Indian Army conducted 82 relief missions, evacuating more than 6,000 people, while the Indian Air Force rescued 541. Across borders and within the country, 2025 reflected India's sustained relief response, from rapid rescue to large-scale humanitarian support. When disaster strikes, India stands ready. Deepika Yadav for DD India.
And that's all we have for you in this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts. And before we leave with this story from the sacred city of Ayodhya, where devotees are attending the Pratishtha Dwadashi celebrations at the Sri Ram temple. Enjoy the visuals. Thank you so much for joining us right now.
शत्रुघ्नैरुपशोभितं विद्यान्तरं कौसल्यानन्दनं रामं धनुर्बाण्यं प्राणेश्वरं राममशौ ददर्श वैश्च सेवितं हनुमत्प्रिय